this episode, we'll talk about how to stay aligned and adaptable through regular review. You'll learn how to track your progress without overcomplicating things, reflect on what's working, and make smart adjustments when life changes. We'll explore the 80% rule, simple reflection habits, and how to manage change without losing momentum, so your plan keeps evolving with you, not against you.
You've created a plan, you've started executing it. Now comes a critical habit that holds it all together. Review. Review is not just about checking boxes, it's about pausing regularly to ask, is what I'm doing actually working? It's a moment of reflection to measure progress, assess alignment, and fine-tune your system so it stays relevant as life evolves. Sometimes your plan will still feel right, no major changes needed. Other times, the review will show you that something needs to shift. That's not a failure, that's responsiveness. And responsiveness is what keeps your planning alive. When change is needed, don't panic, don't abandon the system. Instead, adapt within it. The Planiful method includes space for strategic flexibility. Whether you're adjusting priorities, dropping tasks that no longer serve you, or seizing a new opportunity that just appeared, review also sharpens your self-awareness. Are your task estimates realistic? Are your KPIs too ambitious? Over time, your planning will become more accurate, more intuitive, and more effective. Your planning system should help you adapt, not trap you in rigidity. Review is how you stay honest, stay aligned, and keep growing one step at a time.
As Charles Darwin said, it is not the strongest who survive, nor the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change.
How do you know if you're truly moving forward? Progress isn't just about hitting your goals, it's about understanding how you're getting there, learning from the journey, and making smarter decisions along the way. One simple yet powerful guideline I recommend is the 80% rule. If you've completed about 80% of what you planned, whether it's a task, a KPI, or a larger objective, consider it a success. Why? Because aiming for perfection can be exhausting. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. But with an 80% benchmark, you stay motivated, flexible, and free to shift focus when needed, without feeling like you've failed. Of course, if you can reach 100%, go for it. But when time or energy is limited, 80% is often good enough. And that mindset keeps your momentum alive.
The good news? No matter the planning period, whether you're reviewing your week, quarter, or even your long-term goals, the core review process stays the same. It's a rhythm, a habit, one that helps you stay grounded and aligned. Let's walk through the 5 steps of the unified review process. Here's their list. 1. Reflect on your progress. 2. Measure progress with the 80% rule. 3. Assess challenges and setbacks. 4. Analyze successes and best practices. 5. Plan the next period. Within the Planiful framework, you need to follow these steps at the end of each period, whether weekly, quarterly, or long-term planning. Now, let's examine them one by one.
Step 1. Reflect on your progress. Begin by looking back at what you aimed to achieve during the respective planning period. Did you meet your expectations? What progress did you make toward your bigger goals? Were there any significant turning points, wins, or missed opportunities? This reflection helps you stay connected to your direction and see your efforts in context. Step 2. Apply the 80% rule. Now that you've reflected on your progress, it's time to evaluate it more specifically. Look at each item in your plan, whether it's a task for the week, a quarterly KPI, or a long-term objective. And ask, how much of this did I actually complete? Here's where the 80% rule comes in, a principle we introduced earlier. If you've completed roughly 80% of the intended result, you can consider that item successfully completed for the period. This applies to everything: a weekly task, a quarterly objective, even a broader, long-term milestone. Why 80%? Because it's a realistic benchmark that balances progress and adaptability. life rarely goes exactly as planned. Circumstances shift, priorities evolve, and expecting perfect execution every time can lead to burnout or frustration. In the next step, we'll look at what blocked the remaining 20% and how to address those obstacles. Step 3. Identify challenges. Think about what made things harder during this period. What got in the way? Were there recurring patterns, unexpected events, or internal blockers? Did unexpected events or internal blockers, like procrastination or mental fatigue, slow you down? This step isn't about blame, it's about clarity. When you understand your friction points, you can begin to plan around them. Maybe you need to set more realistic goals, create better buffers, or change how you approach certain tasks. The more you recognize your recurring challenges, the more power you have to reduce or prevent them in future cycles. Step 4. Spot what worked. Now shift your focus to the positive. Ask yourself, what helped you stay on track? Which habits, tools, or routines supported your progress? When did things feel smooth, focused, or energizing? These are your personal success patterns. By naming them, you give yourself the chance to repeat and scale them across different goals, different timeframes, and different areas of life. Significant wins often come from simple habits. Identifying and reinforcing them is how your system becomes stronger over time. Step 5. Plan the next cycle. Finally, use everything you've just learned to shape your next plan, whether it's your week ahead, your next quarter, or the next phase of a long-term goal. Treat each cycle as a reset. Instead, treat it as a continuation, a natural evolution based on new insight. Keep what worked, adjust what didn't. Apply the 80% mindset to stay flexible and focused. This is what makes your personal planning system powerful. It's not just structured, it's alive, and each review is what keeps it aligned with you.
Plans are powerful, but let's be honest, life doesn't always go according to plan. Sometimes your priorities shift, sometimes unexpected opportunities show up, and sometimes things just don't work out the way you hoped. That's where change management comes in. It's not a sign of failure. It's a way to stay flexible without losing direction.
Let's keep this simple. There are a few key rules to follow when managing change, so your system stays strong even when the world around you moves. First, don't change your plan impulsively. Just because something feels hard in the moment doesn't mean it needs to be removed. Before making any big change, pause and ask, is this really necessary right now? Or is it just uncomfortable? Second, remember the 80% rule. If you're still on track to complete around 80% of your original goals, tasks, KPIs, objectives, then your plan is working. Let perfectionism or a tough day convince you to tear it all down. Progress doesn't need to be flawless, just consistent. Third, understand what kind of change you're making. Sometimes you're just adding something, maybe a helpful task or a small opportunity that fits your plan. That's usually fine, especially if you've got extra time or energy. But if you're adding something and removing something else to make space, or you're outright changing or dropping a commitment, that's a different story. That kind of change deserves more attention. And here's the key. Try to limit big changes to no more than 3 for any planning period. Why? Because too many shifts at once create chaos. You lose your rhythm and progress gets scattered. So when you're about to make a serious adjustment, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, is this change truly essential? Will it disrupt something important I've already committed to? Does it still support my overall strategy? Do the benefits clearly outweigh the downsides? And is there another way? A simpler alternative that causes less friction? You don't need a spreadsheet for this, just honest answers. And that honesty leads to better decisions. Now, here's another common trap. Reacting too fast. Struggling with your weekly plan doesn't automatically mean your quarterly objectives are broken. Give it time. Watch for patterns. If the same problem comes up over and over again, then it may be time to adjust your higher level goals, but not before.
There's one important thing about change management. It is an absolute must to be real with yourself. If you didn't follow through on your goals because you were procrastinating, distracted, or just didn't manage your time well, don't rewrite the plan to make it look like a win. That's just self-deception in disguise. Instead, own it. Learn from it. What habits got in the way? What distracted you? What could you do differently next time?
And when the opposite happens, when you adapt smartly, take on something valuable, or even exceed your goals, celebrate that too. Recognize the wins, let them reinforce the habits that worked. Because the truth is, great planning isn't rigid, it's alive. Change management is what keeps it that way. Clear, focused, and resilient.
So to wrap up, this episode focused on the role of change management in keeping your plans both grounded and adaptable. We explored how thoughtful adjustments can help maintain relevance without disrupting focus, especially when priorities shift or unexpected challenges arise. By limiting the number of major changes, making them at the right level, and evaluating them with clear, simple criteria, it becomes easier to stay responsive without losing direction. When this process is applied with consistency, it allows for meaningful flexibility, while still protecting the integrity of your long-term vision. In the next episode, we'll step back and recap the entire planning process, walking through the full Planiful framework and all its key components.